The Centurion Mk2 is one of the more boring Battle Pass rewards that we've had. When the news first dropped of it being added to Warthunder, a majority of the comments were calling it a copy-paste vehicle, even though technically it's not. After having played it extensively for the past week, I would say that currently, the Centurion Mk2 is one of the most powerful Battle Pass vehicles that we've had. Starting off, what is the Centurion Mk2? It's a transitional model of Centurion that combines the tougher hull and smaller gun of the Mk1 with the more advanced turret of the Mk3, including its stabilizer. Gaijin then decided to place the Mk2 at 6.3 battle rating, just one notch above the Mk1. I don't normally do this, but I need to go on a quick rant about the real-life Centurion Mk2. Everywhere I look, the Mk2 was referenced as a transitional model between the Mk1 and the Mk3, and that makes sense because it uses pieces of both of those tanks and combines them into one. But then if you take a look at the production numbers for Centurions, the first Centurion ever made was a Mk2, and on top of that, the Mk1 was only made in 1946 and 1947. Both of those years, the British made more Mk2s than they did Mk1s. Then in 1948, they started making Mk3s and never looked back. I know that there's a perfectly reasonable explanation for all this somewhere, but I really wonder why Britain made the Mk1 in the first place. To get back on topic, now let's go through the details of the Mk2, starting with the gun. The tank uses the 76mm 17-pounder cannon, and it's the highest BR tank to use it. At this point in the tech tree, the 17-pounder is starting to get long in the tooth, but thanks to the 269mm of pen with the APDS shot, you're still able to cut through almost anything that you face in the battlefield. In fact, the only tanks that I found that had a consistent problem pinning are the Pershing, Panther, and IS-2. It's not that you can't pin any of those tanks, it's just that those are the few tanks where you have to take time to aim for weak spots, which is made so much easier with the Mk2 stabilizer. Moving on to the armor, the Mk2 has the definition of troll armor. The effective armor of the front of the turret ranges anywhere from 120mm to over 400mm in some spots. I've never run into somebody that could reliably pin the turret face of the Mk2. The upper front plate is also a massive troll. While its actual thickness is only 76mm, its effective thickness is consistently over 200mm thick, and you can bounce almost anything. From the German 88 and down tiers to the American 90mm and up tiers, everything struggles to pin the upper front plate except for the early heat slingers and the IS-2. The lower front plate is also troll armor, but this time it hurts the person driving the Mk2. It's made of the same 76mm armor as the upper front plate, but due to angles, you'll get pinned there way more often. To wrap up some final details about the tank, its mobility is okay for what it is. You're slightly slower than other mediums, but faster than heavy tanks. The gunner's sight has 6x magnification, which is fine, but there's been plenty of times where I wish I had just a bit better view. And don't forget to empty out the ammo on the front rack. You'll survive a lot of those lower front plate pins if you do that. As for how the Mk2 fits in the greater British tech tree, it's kind of in a weird spot at the beginning of rank 4. Britain doesn't really have that many tanks around 6.3, so you're stuck bringing the Centurion Mk1, the Charioteer, and the 4005, and the Rattel 90 if you're going down the South African line. It's not like those are bad vehicles, but I am currently sitting at a 47% win rate with the Mk2. Overall, if you're in the early stages of grinding the British tech tree, it might be worth grinding out or buying the Mk2, but if you're already past the early stages of rank 4, you're not missing out on much if you don't get it.